Hi, good afternoon. Today is April 2nd, 2019. We're about to start our regular town board meeting. It was scheduled for 2. It's a little, about 6 or 7 after 2 o'clock right now. So I'll call the meeting to order, and I will turn it over to you. Well, we'll stand for the pledge first. Catherine, would you like to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow, what a resounding.
All right, Jim, I'll turn it over to you to announce the invocation.
We always start each meeting with an invocation. We ask for our faith community to come forward and to lead us, and we're very pleased to have with us the Bishop Sella from the St. John Evangelist Church right here in Riverhead. Thank you for being with us, Bishop.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Let us pray. Father, bless the residents of our communities. May they live together in peace and harmony and have what's necessary to face each day with dignity and confidence. Bless those who protect public welfare, police, fire personnel, those who care for roads and parks, those responsible for public health. May they have the resources and sense of purpose to do their jobs well. Bless our officials here this afternoon and those they have chosen to work with them. By electing them, we have placed in their hands our common good. Give them wisdom, prudence, patience, foresight, dedication, and the spirit of cooperation so that they may foster the common good of all the community. Amen.
Amen. From your lips to God's ears.
Thank you, Bishop.
And I'm going to hold off on the announcements. We're going to do a proclamation first, and then we will take one of the resolutions out of order. So if I could ask Larry Williams to come up.
Good day.
Good to see you. Larry has been a member of our Recreation Advisory Committee for many years, and he has been a lifelong resident here and has chosen to go down to Georgia. So we wanted to have a proclamation today for Larry, and we're actually declaring it Larry Williams Day, April 2nd in the town of Riverhead. Wow. So,
Afternoon meeting, so you got a lot of the
yeah, so
day
you
to
have a
enjoy.
whole lot of days for us to celebrate.
We get more taxes for him for that day.
Yeah. So I'd just like to read the proclamation. Where it is both fitting and proper that the town board and residents of the town of Riverhead join in recognizing an individual who has provided an outstanding public service to the town of Riverhead. And whereas Larry Williams, a resident and a native of the town of Riverhead, has served both the town and his country with passion and merit, distinctly in the United States Air Force as the Assistant Director of the Calverton National Cemetery, and as the President of the Clearview Civic Association, as co-founder of the Stop the Violence basketball tournament, and as a longtime member of the Town of Riverhead's Recreation Advisory Committee, and also as co-chair of the East End Voters Coalition, and as a deacon at the First Baptist Church of Cutchogue. Whereas Larry Williams' service to the Riverhead community has touched the lives of thousands in our community and throughout Long Island. His work has always been about bringing people together, advocating for all in our community, especially people of color, and serving Riverhead to the best of his abilities. And whereas Larry Williams began working at Calverton National Cemetery in 1979, starting as a temporary caretaker and then retiring 38 years later as the assistant director, always making it his mission to serve his fellow veterans and their loved ones, respecting their service through an honorable burial. And whereas in 2006, Larry Williams co-founded the Stop the Violence basketball tournament with the idea of stopping street violence through providing an environment where people can build friendships and respect for one another through competition. And whereas Larry Williams has been a member of the Town of Riverhead's Recreation Advisory Committee, always advocating on behalf of Riverhead's people of color, and has been instrumental in a variety of projects, including the installation of a new basketball court at Stasky Park. And let it be known that Larry Williams has been recognized by the community, having received the MLK Jr. Meritorious Award from the First Baptist Church of Riverhead at its 33rd annual Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Breakfast for serving as a role model through citizen activism and honoring the legacy of Dr. King. Larry Williams was also recognized by the Riverhead News Review as the 2016 Community Leader of the Year for organizing the Stop the Violence basketball tournament, an event that has a powerful message that has created a lasting legacy of positivity in Riverhead. And furthermore, Riverhead owes Larry a great debt of gratitude for his service to our community, and the town wishes you the best as you start the next chapter of your life down in Georgia. So therefore today, along with myself and the town board, we proclaim April 2nd, 2019 as Larry Williams Day in the town of Riverhead, and along with the entire town board, do urge all citizens to join in sustaining public awareness of this vital member of our community throughout the year. Would you like to say something?
Well, first, always giving honor to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. He's always the head of my life. And I pray he's the head of many of your other lives. I do thank the town supervisor, member of the town council, and all of you for this award. I know it wasn't about awards. It was about the work that had to be done in the community. My mother was a Baptist preacher as well. So, and she instilled in us community. She instilled in us family. She always asked us to always try to help someone else. Don't always look after yourself. If people's got a condition or there's something wrong with them, we're not to be concerned about how they got there, why they got there. If we have the ability to help them, just get out and help.
That's right.
And I thought about that with this community. So I could go on and on, but I won't. And again, I'd like to thank the town board, and again, I'd like to thank all of you. May God continue to bless all of you and all of your endeavors in the future. I will think of you all while I'm in Georgia. God bless you.
Say hello to my brother, he's down here with you.
We'll go up and do the resolution and come back. Take it official. Get your exercise. Larry, you're gonna be missed. So if it is okay with the board, I'd like to take one of our resolutions out of order, which is promote a detective to rank of sergeant for Dino Isgro. What?
What number is it?
I don't, do you what? I think we could,
Anybody calls, want to ask if anybody wants to speak on it?
yeah, well, I was gonna call it and then let them speak, because they want to pass it first, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Sure. You do it.
okay,
Yeah.
whatever. There you go.
Can I have a first and second?
Where is it?
So
It's number 251.
Okay.
Motion.
I'll
First.
second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Yes.
Absolutely. I had the pleasure of working with Dino for quite a few years, and it couldn't have happened to a better guy. We should be very proud of him and his work he does for our police department, and I wish him nothing but success.
Yes, and I agree. Thank you for your service, and you're one of our finest, and we're happy to see the promotion.
Yes.
Absolutely, and congratulations. So at this time, if anybody wanted to come up and say anything, oh, sorry, Joe.
Resolution adopted.
Okay, sorry. So if anybody wanted to come up and speak, or if Chief, you wanted to just come, what? Yes, or if you want to just swear in, okay.
Come on, right in front, please.
I think we
should
should
open
look
it
after
Yep.
that, no? Yeah.
So you have to introduce everybody.
My oldest, Mariella,
Rosemary.
Hi.
My husband, John.
Hi. Welcome.
We'll swear him officially. Okay, now, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, and to faithfully discharge the duties of Riverhead Police Sergeant to the best of your ability, so help you God?
I do.
Congratulations.
What sergeant number is that?
37.
37. Wow.
Too late.
You can tell how organized you are because you got your college set up, 2 urinals.
Do you know, do you want to take a picture with the board and the chief?
Yes.
You can have your family come in if you like. Have your family come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bring all the girls.
Congratulations. All right, we'll squash it. No, we'll squash it.
Oh, that's
Come
right,
on,
don't
you
worry
wanna
about
come
it.
in for the picture?
If you can't see the camera, it can't see you. Even got music playing, that's pretty good.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Daddy did good, huh? Thank you. Congrats. Have a good day. Bye.
Congratulations to mom and dad. Congratulations to mom and dad.
Thank you. Thank you.
Doesn't work, I did it every 4 years. Doesn't work.
Hey, look at the bright side, we've got one resolution already.
Yes. All right, I am so discombobulated without my computer and everything, so I will do announcements. And then, no, I'm okay, I have everything, I'm just trying to figure out what order to do everything, so I'll do announcements and then we'll go on to some of the other. We'll just give everybody a minute to exit that's not staying for the meeting, and then we will go on to announcements. All right, I think I can go, right? Just the announcement for today, I will be holding my State of the Town address on Monday, April 8th, here in Town Hall. Again, breaking with past practice for the second year in a row, the address will be open to everyone, free of charge. To RSVP, please email supervisor@townofriverheadny.gov. The Butterfly Effect Project will host a job readiness program for teens ages 14 through 17 on Thursday, April 4th at the Child Development and Learning Center at 1018 Northville Turnpike in Riverhead. And teens will learn how to seek employment opportunities, fill out job applications, practice interview skills, and more. To register, do createjourneyinspire@gmail.com. We can post that on the website too, our website, so you can find that. Next is we have a special town board work session, which will be held today at 4:30 for the purpose of discussing Riverhead Loft site plan amendment. You can watch it you can watch it live on Channel 22 or on our website. Also, Calverton National Cemetery monthly no one in attendance veterans burial service takes place on Wednesday, April 10th at 10 a.m. Once a month, the Calverton National Cemetery holds a memorial service for veterans whose funerals during the prior month had no one in attendance. You can call 631-727-5410 with any questions. Again, that number is 727-5410. And once again, just a reminder that in order to have your letters and emails added to the public record at town board meetings, you should send them to the town clerk, Diane Wilhelm. or you can email them to townclerk@townofriverheadny.gov, or you can drop them off at the office or mail to 200 Howell Avenue, Riverhead, New York, 11901. And once again, for more information about what's going on in town, sign up for e-notifications, which can also be done at townofriverheadny.gov. Okay, those are my announcements. I'm going to, before we go in, I'll do the CDA meeting, Diana, is that okay?
Oh, yes.
We had scheduled and posted for a community development agency, meeting for today. There is no business for the community development, agency. Bob, do I have to open and close it anyhow? All right. Can I have a first and second to can I open and close on the same motion? Okay, to open and close the Community Development Agency, scheduled meeting for, April, 2nd, 2019, was to start at 2 PM. It is now, 2:23, so can I get a first and second?
I move that we open and close the CDA meeting.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes. Was I supposed to go out of our regular town board meeting? Can that be just a something?
Well, you
It's
should,
fine,
but it
right?
doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's understood.
Thank you, Jim.
Why, I was gonna question it.
Well, you should before I did. Okay, so now I will turn it, can I have a first and second for approval of the minutes for the town board, special meeting on March 14th, 2019 at 10 AM, and a approval of the minutes for the regular meeting on March 19th, 2019 at 2 PM.
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
The minutes are approved. You want me to just go right into?
Yep.
Okay. Under correspondence, we had a letter from Frank Deniseski regarding the proposed special permit application by URT. A letter from Sarah Conrad encouraging the town board to stay consistent in following town code with regard to chapter 255 special events and not allow exemptions to the rules. A letter from Larry Sims in response to blighted property code violations on his property. A letter from John McAuliffe outlining comments in reference to the American Dream Mall project in New Jersey. Under reports, the tax receiver, total tax collection to date as of March 27th, $86,253,702.99. The building department submitted their March monthly report, $71,496.50. Town clerk, monthly report for March was $12,480.35. And that's it.
Okay. We will move on to public hearings.
You see how I have that?
Yeah, there's a couple notes, the first two.
The two on the bottom were the ones that go together, but they were,
All right, I'm just gonna call them and see them,
You
see
can-
if I'm doing them
however you-
incorrectly, please
however,
just
no,
let me know.
however you want.
So the first public hearing is to hear all interested parties, for the consideration for various actions to be taken on certain properties with regard to compliance with chapter 217 blighted properties. If anybody would like to come up and address the board on that public hearing? Any comment from the board?
I just wanted to say I got a letter from, I believe this is the one from Larry Sims' property, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And he wanted me to read just a very short, Larry Sims has reported that working with the chief building inspector, he's essentially completed negotiating a restoration agreement on the property, which is the subject of today's hearing. He's prepared to sign as soon as Brad finalizes the document for the town.
Okay.
And I do know for a fact that there's been, work between Mr. Hammond and Mr. Sims to complete that restoration agreement. I think it's calling for certain, things to be demolished with work being done closer to the road initially to, and remove debris. Also, on the same matter, there were two properties that were identified for action under chapter 217. The second one is 849-853 West Main Street. And we received a letter from an assistant county attorney, Lisa Azzato, asking that the matter be held over for a future date, approximately 60 days. The county, who currently is owner of the premises via tax deed, has been sued, and they filed a motion to dismiss that suit in April of 2018. They're waiting for a judge's decision, and hope that they can have it within that 60-day window, and they did ask that instead of opening and closing, that we keep it open to a future date, so that they would have a chance to appear if they needed to. If they are successful on the motion to dismiss, then I think they are prepared to take action with the property.
So that would bring us to a June date, right? So that would be,
I think I told them May 22, but whatever date the.
do you wanna do the 60 date?
If you wanna do full 60, that's fine. I think we're trying to avoid an afternoon meeting.
Okay, so May 22nd would be the evening meeting?
May 22nd would be the afternoon meeting, unless you wanted to go to the following month, which would obviously allow, but that's up to you. I think I thought I told the assistant
May
county
22nd.
attorney, May 22nd.
Okay, so if there's no further comment, we'll leave the,
22nd, 2-2.
we'll leave the hearing open and adjourn it until May 22nd. The next we have up is the public hearing for consideration of increase in improvements to the Riverhead Water District. Who do we have? We have
In the back. Mr. Collins.
John Collins from H2M and Tom Kruger.
Good afternoon, John Collins with H2M, representing Riverhead Water District with Tom Kruger. We're here just to ask for consideration for the Riverhead Water District to fund three improvements to the Riverhead Water District, including plant rehabilitation of well 2 located on Pulaski Street at a cost of $1.489 million. The plant number 4 rehabilitation on Osborne Avenue at a cost of $1.1 million, and a implementation of a test well program at $724,000 for a total cost of $3.313 million.
And you say that with a smile.
Yeah,
No,
he puts on his.
Larry, there's a lot of feedback.
I thought that we had discussed at work session that you were gonna try and get the number of wells down, the test wells. Were you able to do that?
I think we could get the monitoring wells that we have the agreement with USGS. We could get that down to 3, and if we're successful on our first test well with the potable water wells, we could possibly eliminate one, but we won't know until we get down there,
Okay.
so to speak.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions from the?
Well, this is part of the bigger plan, right?
Yes, this is all the projects, part of the projects that we had.
I know there's a 10-year plan, and this is the start of it.
Right, some of these projects will get bumped down a little lower because we did get the grant for the $3 million. So some of the projects that were slated for 19 will happen between 19 and 20, just so that we can stay on track with the yearly expenses.
Much needed for our water district in order to keep it operating and keep it ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is all part of the plan, like we said,
Keep
too.
it much better than subject.
Correct.
All right. All right, is anybody from the public would like to come up and comment? Any questions? Seeing nobody, I will close the public hearing and leave it over for public comment until April 12th.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Great job. Tom, nice talking to you.
Okay, it is now 2:30. We will move on to the third public hearing. Am I going out of order on these, Diane, is that?
No.
Okay. This is the public hearing to consider the reduction from 300 to 277 units of Riverhead Flag Corporation and accept a declaration of covenants and restrictions to limit and exhaust all remaining rights to construct condominium units approved by special permit of the town board by resolution number 680 dated November 3rd, 1982. I believe Mr. Kent will be coming up. You're representing Vistas.
We have to have a public hearing to reduce.
While council is getting ready to speak, the subject matter here involves lands that were all part of the Flag Corporation or the Flag Country Club. And in 1982, they made a special permit application to the town board in order to develop the land with residential as well as a golf course. So we're really dealing with the lands that were the subject of that special permit. And Chris will take it all from here to explain why he's here, why he's looking to calculate the number at 277, and a little bit of history that's associated with the parcel, because obviously, going back to 1982, there's gonna be a little bit of history.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna take you down a little bit of a path that I've been involved with since about 1988. And even prior to that, if you count the times I was bartending at the club. So, good afternoon, Supervisor Jen Smith and members of the town board. My name is Christopher Kent, and I'm an attorney at Farrell Fritz PC in Hopog, New York. I represent the Knolls of Fox Hill, Inc., the property owner of the last parcel approved for construction of condominium units pursuant to the special permit granted to the Riverhead Flag Corporation by Town Board Resolution 680, adopted on November 3rd, 1982. Resolution 680 permitted the construction of 300 condominium units clustered upon approximately 47 acres along the Long Island Sound of the then existing 191-acre golf course in Baiting Hollow, subject to future site planning. The Knolls of Fox Hill, Inc. received final site plan approval from the Town Planning Board on June 21st, 2018 to construct the Vistas of Baiting Hollow, a site plan approval that was determined to be the last, by the Planning Board, to be the last 21 condominium units that would be permitted by the special permit granted by the Town Board in November 1982. As a condition of that final site plan approval granted by the Town Planning Board for the construction of these 21 units, the applicant was required to seek modification of the special permit granted by the Town Board by reducing the number of condominium units permitted to be constructed upon the 47 acres from 300 to 277 units, and to exhaust all remaining rights to have the additional condominium units constructed upon that property under the special permit granted by the Town Board in November 1982. I'm going to move over here just so I can kind of walk you through that map a little bit. There's a lot of things that have transpired since 1982. I'm sorry the map is so small, but I tried to get something done that could give me a visual. The town has granted several approvals for the development of the permitted condominium units in multiple phases. To date, 256 of the 300 condominium units originally permitted have been constructed. The town approvals for the multiple phases of the Bluffs development include the following. Up in this area here, this was the Bluffs of Baiting Hollow. Condominium 1. It was approved for construction of 126 units on 16.1 acres. In addition, the development of a separate, right in here, 2.25 acre pool and tennis courts, which are right there. A pool and tennis court common recreation area was approved at the same time. Construction of the Bluffs Condominium 1 was completed in 1985. What were you doing in 1985? Having a baby, right? In December 1986, the town board approved Bluffs 2 for the development of an additional 174 units along the bluff to the west of Condo 1. That's up in this area over here. Construction of Bluffs 2 was delayed by an objection made by Bluffs 1 because the proposed construction included an area that was supposed to be common area, open space, and access to the sound right here. And that area was reserved for Bluffs Condo 1. In April of 1988, the Planning Board and the Town Board approved a reconfigured Bluffs 2 project that provided for 144 sound front units here on 15.9 acres with rights to develop 30 future golf units along the golf course down in this area. In 1992, Arlen Maintenance Corp., Principal Alvin Benjamin, purchased the Bluffs 2 property and the rights to develop a total of 174 condominium units, originally approved by the town as Bluffs 2. In December 1992, the Planning Board reaffirmed the approval of the Bluffs 2 condominium map that permitted 144 units facing the sound up in this area here. In July 1993, Alvin Benjamin formed the Knolls of Fox Hill, Inc., and petitioned the town to develop the approved Bluffs 2 units in 2 sections, and to reduce the number of sound front units from 144 in this area to 108, and to relocate 36 of those 144 approved units from Section 1 up here down to Section 2 down here, south of the road. And he was going to do it in future phases along the golf course. The 108 units in Section 1 were developed as phases 1, 2, 3A, and 3B, and they've all been developed now. They've all been constructed. The last 24 units, called the Reserve, were constructed recently, and they're all in they're in sales now. On May 1st, 1997, the Planning Board approved the Knolls of Fox Hill Section 2 condominium map on a 3.6 acre parcel on the right side, on the right of way, on east of Oakley Avenue, later known as Phase 4. And that's this area right here, for the development of 16 of the approved 36 units that were relocated from Bluffs 2 to the golf course, and leaving 20 additional golf units relocated from Bluffs 2 to be developed on a parcel that had 6 existing model units south of the entrance road and subject to future detailed site planning. So I don't know if you can see the little model unit. The model units are right here. It's a building with 6 units in it, and this is a parcel that exists south of the road. This is the road coming in up to Fox Hill. On February 2nd, 1999, in order to be granted approval from the Suffolk County Department of Health Services for the construction of the proposed units in Bluffs 2, Alvin Benjamin, as president of the Knolls of Fox Hill, executed a declaration of covenants and restrictions for groundwater management that limited the total number of units to be built on the Bluffs 2 property to be the equivalent population density of 144 residential units. Or, in layman's talk, they limited it to 40,800 gallons per day of wastewater flow. To date, the total sanitary flow of the Bluffs 2 property, of all the residential units that have been approved and or constructed on the Bluffs 2 property, is 35,925 gallons per day, with a remaining balance of wastewater of 4,875 gallons per day of available sanitary flow remaining. The remaining available sanitary flow provided under the Suffolk County Department of Health Service Groundwater Management Covenant permits the construction of 21 additional golf units of less than 1,200 square feet in Phase 5. Phase 5 is right in this area here, inside the golf course and south of the road. On June 21st, 2018, the Planning Board approved the construction of 21 additional golf units, all less than 1,200 square feet, in Phase 5. As approved, Phase 5 will have 27 units located on 8.08 acres. The approval of 21 additional units on Phase 5 permits a total of 277 units to be constructed pursuant to the special permit granted by the town board in 1982. The special permit for the clustering of the 300 approved condominium units on the northern approximate 47 acre portion of the 191 acre golf course site, with development prohibited on the balance of the site by a conservation easement. The request before you this afternoon is to modify the special permit granted by the town board by Resolution 680 adopted on November 3rd, 1982, to reduce the number of condominium units that can be constructed on the approximate 47 acres to 277, and to exhaust all further rights to construct any additional condominium units on that parcel along the Long Island Sound by accepting a declaration of covenant and restrictions to be recorded against that property. As a condition of the resolution that called for this public hearing, we were required to provide personal service of resolution number 170, Town Board Resolution 170, that was adopted on March 5th, with notice of the public hearing for today upon all parties who may have an interest under the special permit granted by the Town Board in 1982. And that was all listed in that resolution. I have filed with the town clerk acceptance and acknowledgement of personal service from 6 of those individuals, those parties of interest listed in the resolution. And I provided an affidavit of service, personal service, on the last party. And I have copies of that with me today, but the originals, copies and originals have been provided to the town clerk. I'm here available for any questions.
What is the size of the property of the one person who did not sign off? You said 6 people signed?
The party that did not sign off is the owner of the golf course.
And that's all?
It's not a sign off, it's just, personal service can be done in a couple of ways. In this instance, 6 of them acknowledged and accepted the service. One party received personal service, but did not acknowledge or accept it, so there was an affidavit providing proof of personal service.
And I'm sorry, the golf course has the covenant on it for non-development?
The golf course has a separate covenant. It's an open space conservation covenant that was recorded against that property about the time that they approved the special permit.
And that's that 191 acres?
No, that's only the balance of the property. I think it's roughly 143 acres. That 143-acre parcel doesn't exist anymore, though, because the golf course acquired additional acreage, 11 more acres, and that 11 acres that they acquired has full development rights. So there's going to be a question of what happens in the future to the golf course, because it's not, the entire golf course as it is today is not subject to that open space covenant that was entered by the golf course.
What prompted this application for a reduction in yield? I mean, normally we see that people are asking for more density, not for less, so what prompted this?
Well, what prompted it was that
No, he said
the
extra
property
flow.
is restricted by the health department. That only permits a certain amount of wastewater flow.
I thought you had said that there was 30,900, or a balance of 4,875 gallons per day.
Right, and that's what we're using up right now to build the 21 condominium units.
So you have 0 left?
We have 150, I think, left over. So we could put in a shed. As long as there's no running water and bathroom, toilets. No, the reason we did it was because the special permit granted 300 condominium units, subject to future site planning. The site planning duty was originally the town board's responsibility until the planning board took it over, I want to say in the late 80s or early 90s. Bob, I don't remember exactly.
Planning board's site plan was in either 2005 or 2006.
That the planning board just took it over then because they,
Site plan.
well, because they approved some of the site plans at this property in the
I think that
90s.
was done by condos, condo maps.
Oh, okay, condo maps.
Yeah.
Okay, so, so the future site planning responsibility is the town's. The special permit really is a cap. You can't go more than 300.
Yep.
And it's subject to future site planning, so the future site planning indicated that the maximum amount you could put on the site is 277.
Thank you.
In my opinion, I didn't really think the amendment to the to the special permit was necessary because you're less than the amount permitted. But the town felt it, the planning board felt it was important to modify the special permit, and it made it a condition of our approval on the Phase 5 condominium map.
Any other questions from the board? Is there anybody from the public that would like to come up and comment on this public hearing?
Better use plexiglass, because I slice the ball sometimes right there.
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor and members of the board. My name is Jane Kratz, K-R-A-T-Z. I'm an attorney, and I represent Soundview Associates, the owner of the land on which the golf course is constructed, as well as the club that operates the golf facility. And I've reviewed the proposed declaration in the public document binder. It doesn't contain a Schedule A, so I'm not certain, standing here, what property is proposed to be encumbered by this, what I would consider redundant and probably unnecessary declaration, because gallonage is controlled by Suffolk County Department of Health Services. It dictates what type of sanitary system is permitted on any particular property. The system could be enhanced and allow for the development of the additional units at some point in time. And I'm not sure by what authority the planning board, quote, has determined that no further condominium units may be constructed on the property. It's not for that board, in my opinion, to say. In addition, you're asking or requiring a declaration, a real estate title document to be imposed on the yet-to-be-described 47 acres, which is owned and controlled by the Board of Managers of the condominium project, but also all of the owners who have undivided interests in that property. So I'm not even sure that a declaration, if imposed or recorded, would even be effective. I don't believe it's necessary. It doesn't address my client's interest in the special permit to the extent that it would seek to use any other area and develop out those remaining units. It's a very important right. In exchange for those 300 units, my client imposed the declaration, an easement, conservation easement. There was a quid pro quo at the time. And to pull the rug out from under however many units are remaining under this exercise seems to me to be extremely unfair, and I would say, well, then what is the quid pro quo in reverse? Do we now have a relaxation of that easement so that whatever would be the commensurate amount of development be the offset for the removal of the 27 units from the project and from the approvals? So I strenuously object to your approving this at this time. There's an incomplete document for openers, and I don't think that the analysis is necessarily complete, correct, or subject to further review and engineering analysis. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So if I could just ask you one question.
Yes, of
So
course.
basically what you're saying is that you want to keep the 300 units intact, and then at a later date, if you were to buy a Pine Barrens credit or buy some flow from the health department, you would be entitled to build those additional units. And you're also saying that one of the principals of the golf course, who is part of the undivided interest, has not signed on or agreed to these covenants.
That's correct.
Okay,
Thank you for articulating it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one further question too. 'Cause I know
Yes.
you mentioned some other lands that Soundview Associates owns. Were those part and parcel of the original 191 that was the
No.
subject? Okay. So of the original 191, of which the 47 acres have been developed, is there any lands that your client owns that would be within that 47 acres that could be improved?
We do own part of the structures. There's also the Giorgio's facility. Without the legal description, standing here, it's very difficult for me to
Okay.
answer that question authentically.
Well, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
understand, just generically.
I understand.
So the additional land that you made reference to earlier, the 11 acres, I think it was, that's not part of the original 191, just to be
Correct.
clear.
The 11 acres was acquired in connection with the Wolfhurst development and has not been covenanted. Full development rights exist. As you may know, the town did rezone
Right.
this
That would be-
property.
That would be southerly and ties in
That's
with
right, in the
the
vicinity of the
subdivision map.
driving range, if you're
Right.
familiar with the site.
Okay, all right,
All right, but that's
So-
for another,
okay.
no pending application at this point with respect to that. And I want that to be crystal clear that whatever this board decides does not affect the remaining property on which the golf operation exists and is
That-
conducted.
The original 11, the other 11, okay. Of the 47 or so acres that had the residential yield in it, have you looked at the calculations and health department densities provided by Mr. Kent, and do you concur with those calculations?
I have not. I'm not an engineer. We have consulted with Chris Dwyer, who is an engineer and has done an analysis to make sure that if we were to go forward with existing site, what gallonage remains. And I do have that report, but I'm not prepared to enter that into the record on this application until I see exactly what is proposed and where.
So that would be the Schedule A?
Okay, yeah,
Correct.
All right.
okay. Right then.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wish? Yes.
I just want to clarify 2 points that were made there. The golf course does not own an undivided interest in any of the property that was approved for development for condominiums. The clubhouse, the Giorgio's at Fox Hill Clubhouse, is on the golf course property. It's not on condominium property. And the covenant that is proposed for recording is a form. I mean, we haven't finalized it. Of course, we will have a Schedule A. The Schedule A would include those properties that make up the condominium parcels. There are underlying tax lots upon which each condominium map is filed, the unit designation maps. And those properties are controlled by the individual condo boards and the HOAs. This covenant would not be recorded against the golf course property. And it would not be recorded against the property upon which Giorgio's at Fox Hill is located, because that's located on the golf course property. And the undivided interest refers to the condominium unit owners, each own an undivided interest in the overall property. But those condominium units, those condominium owners, as part of their offering plan, customarily provide control and decision-making for the property to the Board of Managers and or the HOAs.
Is that in their bylaws? Is that in their current bylaws?
I don't know their current bylaws, but generally that type of ownership information is contained in the offering plan. And when you go to closing on a condominium unit, you actually grant certain decision-making rights. You sign a document granting certain decision-making rights. You also grant easements to, at that point, the sponsor, and the sponsor then assigns those rights to the HOA boards.
Council, I just want to clarify something, just so I'm clear. Again, we're going back to an original parcel that was 191 acres, and of that, you said 47 acres were essentially for residential, you got 144 for the course. Are you saying the Giorgio's clubhouse is on the 144?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right.
It's actually now, well, I don't know if they ever merged the parcel, but they acquired an additional 11 acres. So it might now be on the 154. I think the breakdown of the parcels, I did the 191, I subtracted out all of the acreage that's identified as held by the condominium phases, which added up to approximately 47. And I think the balance was something like 143.7, something like that for the golf course. And they added an additional roughly 11 acres, and the golf course is now approximately 154 acres.
Okay. That additional amount, I mean, and maybe when Ms. Kraft come up and clarify, that would be the Baiting Hollow Clubhouse, the driving range, is that what we're talking about?
Yes, and it also includes the other clubhouse up on the hill.
Okay, okay.
Good afternoon, Supervisor and council members. I'm Town of Hempstead retired Councilman Gary Hughes. I'm an 11-year resident of the Knolls of Fox Hill. I'm also Vice President of the HOA. from a personal point of view, I am very much in favor of the covenant and restriction on this property, having been there through the construction on the reserve and now looking at the vistas that will be built there. The idea of limiting this to 277 condominiums is a plus for our community. The question I had, because our board has not had the opportunity to meet and vote to send a letter of opinion in on this covenant and restriction, will the record be open after this hearing to allow the board to take a vote and send that in?
I think we could leave it open, Bob, because the Schedule A isn't there either.
We could do that. I mean, typically if we did close for public comment, as you may have heard if you caught prior hearing, there's usually, we keep it open for written comment until the following Friday, but I don't know if that's
That's fine. We just need, within a week, we'll be able.
You would look to make a written comment, written submission, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time.
So, Bob, without looking at all the maps, it's really hard to try and understand what parcels were involved with the clubhouse for Giorgio's, the clubhouse for Bating Hollow Club, all of the condominium units that are built. Was there ever a subdivision that subdivided off the golf course and the Giorgio's and the Bating Hollow Club golf course, or from the condominiums? Wasn't it all one piece?
From what when I pulled out from 1982, the records from town board action then, they describe a 191 acre parcel.
So that does include the golf course,
It
yes?
didn't include the 11 that was made reference to earlier. That was a later purchase. That was, I think, either Wolfers Farms or Wolfers Development LLC. And that was off of Warner Drive, and I think part of it also extended down into Sound Avenue on the north side. And that's where the Bating Hollow Club, that clubhouse or that structure was constructed. Then there's also a driving range that's on the south side of the road that leads in and out from Warner Drive. That was part of the Wolfers properties. 192 acres didn't come quite that far down. I know that if we have to, we'll pull some of the old maps from '82 if we can find them, and some of the development happened. But basically, the concept then was this: with the Flag Corporation came in and said, we want to build a golf course, we want to construct it, and we want to put all the residential development up near the Sound Bluff to take advantage of the vistas and the views up there. And again, it was 191 acres. So there has been some shifting and changing over time. And again, the Bating Hollow Club's question of yield would, I think, tie to that 11 acres that they acquired, that they made reference to from the Wolfers. But I don't, and of course, whatever additional yield might come from the top if they had any rights to those lands, I don't know. That was a little unclear to me.
So,
Me too.
yeah, so there's a question of whether there's a yield left in those 11 acres and where that yield could be placed at a future date?
It was not part of the 191. Again,
Okay.
so when we talk about the special permit that was granted by the town board in 1982, the 11 acres were never part and parcel of that 192 acres. So they're separate and distinct properties.
So is there a map attached to, with meets and bounds for this 191 acres, so it's clear as to what we are limiting and not allowing any further development on, as to the 200, there's no further residential development at the max of the 277, and what the meets and bounds of that property is?
And if not, was there ever a formal subdivision map that subdivided the golf course out of the overall 191 acres?
I don't understand that question. It was a special permit granted, and then there were condo maps filed over time, allowing for the residential units to be built out.
But the residential units are separate from the golf course, correct? In separate ownership?
They were part of that 192 that received the special permit. I think they have separate tax map numbers now, but they were part of that original special permit application from 1982.
So the 47 acres that were taken out to create a separate tax map? Do we know when that happened? For the golf
There
course and
that-
for the Bating Hollow Club golf
That occurred
club?
from 1982 to 2018. It
So there
took
was a
place over
subdivision,
time.
no?
I think it's 143 acres that was taken out for the golf course.
About 143, 144, if you
144,
don't
right.
include the 11 acres. Again, the 11 acres was a separate acquisition, that was Wolfers Farms.
So
Would you like to
Chris-
come up and address some of these questions?
I'll answer any questions you ask.
So the
I'll try anyway, I'll try.
The question here, right, to limit to the 277 units, from the possible yield of the 300 units, how is that being shown, or how is that, identified, so that if the 11 acres do have yield on them still?
Yeah,
And
the 11 acres have nothing to do with the original 191 acres upon which the Flag Corp. What's happening here is we're amending the special permit granted to Riverhead Flag Corp. in 1982. In 1982, Riverhead Flag Corp. Owned approximately 191 acres, and it had a golf course on it. And they decided that they wanted to build condominiums up along the Sound. So they severed off 47 acres for development. And there were condo maps filed over time, starting in 1985 probably was, I don't know the exact first condo map date, but it was the Bluffs 1. I kind of tried to walk you through how they did it. So they did the Bluffs 1, then they had the rights to do Bluffs 2. Bluffs 2 went through some issues. They reallocated the way the units were going to be approved.
But the question is, I understand that the 47 acres were separated out for the homes, and you had the 191 acres for the golf course.
144 acres for the golf.
144, a total of 191 acres.
Yeah.
So this limit of this 300, right, this 300 at the going down to 277, is for the entire 191 acres, not just for the 47 acres that were identified as where there was gonna be built for condos,
They
correct?
approved it as a cluster. They clustered the rights to build 300 units onto the approximately 47 acres. It was a clustered development. That then left the golf course to be preserved by a covenant. I'm not sure if it was a covenant or a conservation easement, but it's protected as open space, and they're allowing it to be used as a golf course. And of course, over time, that kind of thinking has changed. The golf courses are not open space, they're something different. But back then, they allowed the golf course to be considered open space, and they clustered the units onto the northern 47 acres. Now, each one of those, if you look, we could go back, we could pull a 1981 tax map. They do exist because the health department uses it all the time. And then you can see how the tax map has changed over time from 1981 to 2018, and see how the tax map has changed. Those parcels have been created by the filing of condo maps. Now, there is a Schedule A legal description. We didn't go through the trouble. First, we wanted to make sure you were going to grant the special permit, the modification of the special permit. We will create a Schedule A. There is a Schedule A on the recorded Health Department groundwater management covenant that describes the parcel that's restricted by the groundwater management covenant. There is a Schedule A attached to that. So I'd be glad to provide that. I'll provide whatever other descriptions we need to include all the parcels that are controlled by the condominium boards and the HOAs. We're not looking to add this covenant to any of the golf property at all. We're not looking to include the Giorgio's Clubhouse. We're not looking to include the Bating Hollow Clubhouse or any of the golf property. This would just be placed upon the individual condominium sections and exhausting all rights to develop condominium units within those properties.
But, go ahead.
I'm just curious, you went from a original yield 37 years ago of 300 units to 277. And I know a lot of that's done because of the sanitary flows and the water management, I get that. But let's say the flows would allow you to build 300, would you be here today? Probably not.
I'm here today because we got
reduction,
final site plan approval to build Phase 5, the 21 condominium units. A condition imposed upon us by the planning board was that we'd have to go to the town board to modify the special permit from 300 condominium units permitted to 277 condominium units permitted.
But,
That was a condition of the
understanding
planning
the
board.
logic.
That's why I'm here today.
Doesn't make sense.
So,
Yeah, what Chris is saying is correct. That was one of the conditions imposed as part of his approval from the planning board. The board, if the board doesn't act and says we're gonna just leave it at 300, which I guess the board can do, I guess we have to somehow go back to the planning board and have that condition
removed,
modified, or
modified,
removed.
yeah.
So that would be just the gist of that, if that's where we go. But he's here because that was a condition that was imposed by the planning board.
Okay, so that's what my original question was, is what prompted this?
And
it's
I
not
answered
the
that many
flow,
times.
it's-
This is part of their future site planning.
Well, it is part of the flow because I think there was calculations done to look at what's there currently in the lands that were encumbered or I should say, were envisioned to be part of the residential build-out. And then there was the calculation done, which Chris mentioned earlier, which is the 40,080, which if you subtract the 35,000 and change off, left the 4,900 and change,
Yeah.
which is what he's looking to do, less the 150 that he's got to spare.
I can sell you 150 gallons if you need it.
Okay, so anybody else wanted to address?
Thank you. Thank
Board?
you, Chris.
We have one more person. Thank you, Chris.
Hi, my name is Denise Cassio, and I am president of the Fox Hill HOA, which encompasses the amenities, the road, the guardhouse. And I want to speak now as only a resident. I reside in 502 Fox Hill Drive at the Bluffs. Our community is becoming extremely congested. It's, the amenities, you can't really take any more people in. The pool is limited to 188, I believe, on the pool deck. Already, we have so many families that I don't know how we could fit anyone else with our amenities or anything else. The roads are not built for that heavy traffic. There's no parking areas. So I just, as a resident, want to tell you that after these condos are built, I mean, I think that's enough. We're really tight, okay?
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you very much.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing from the attorney that was representing the golf course is that they would want to reserve those additional units for the 11 acres that they own that are not encumbered. So it wouldn't be built up at the top of where you are, it would be built down by where they are. And they would have separate amenities, obviously, if that were to happen. But I think that the two attorneys should talk and try and figure out, because the golf course is obviously gonna have to sign off on this or anything if it does come to a revised covenant, no? If it was severed off, if the 47 acres were severed off, was that done by a subdivision?
Did you want, please?
I don't have the answer to that, but I know Dick Ehlers was counsel to the planning board then, and he's still counsel to the planning board, so he's an institution in himself.
'Cause I think
We'll
that-
find out.
You're asking the wrong
I know there are condo maps filed on multiple parcels.
Right, and so both parties would have to sign off on those condo maps, which would be, because it was all 191 acres. So the golf course, the clubhouse for Giorgio's, the clubhouse for Beating Hollow Club, the condominium association, everybody would have to sign off on those covenants. If it was 191 acres, one whole piece, and if 47 acres were being severed off, I would think that both parties would have to sign on to any subdivision application.
Well, somehow these maps were created that severed them off. So I will take a look at that. I'll try to find out. I'm sure they.
I know that at one point in time, you made passing reference to it, that with the golf course itself, there was a separate and distinct easement that was recorded, which considered open space or environmental, and I believe that
Yes.
was a 347 easement, where there was a town board hearing, and at the end of the process, the town board actually laid out in a meets and bounds fashion a easement that restricted any further development other than golf course uses on the remaining part. So that part got carved out from the 191
By easement, not by deed.
by a 347 easement.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look.
Which is like an open space easement, it would be very similar to someone saying, I own 198 acres of land, and I'm agreeing to a covenant that says I can't develop 143 acres, except for golf course related type of uses.
Right. And that was the subject, I mean, there was an action brought against the town on that very issue.
Just to be clear, the 11 acres, the former Wolfhurst property, that is where the Bading Hollow Clubhouse is now, along with their driving range and property. I believe it probably goes to the west of that somewhat, of the clubhouse itself.
I don't know how far west it goes, because the church is right there, so it kind of wraps around the Bading Hollow Church.
Okay.
And there are two individual residential lots along Sound Avenue. So if you look at it on a map, you'll see that it stretches to Sound Avenue and Warner.
Right.
It goes to the corner.
Right.
It then comes around to one residence, then it fronts on Sound Avenue again. Then it has a second residence, the one that had the roof and comes back to Sound Avenue, and then the church.
Okay. Now, those 11 acres would be able to possibly develop some sort of housing at some point in time. That would not be affected by this.
That 11 acres
this actually
has,
allows that to happen.
that 11 acres has development rights, and those 11 acres would not be impacted
Okay.
by this reduction in the special permit.
But I think they were asking for the yield, the balance of the yield from the 300 to the 277 to land on that 11 acres, if I'm not mistaken. I don't
That would be a decision that you guys would
No?
have to make if you want to grant that
Okay.
yield out there. That's a subsequent decision. That does
That's
not,
even what you're asking, so.
yeah.
Okay. I'm
There's
just
two different
very
issues.
confused.
There's two different issues there.
Okay. Anybody else from the public would like to come up and comment? Seeing nobody, I will close the public comment, but leave it open for written comment. Bob, you think I should go a little later than April 12th, or?
Nice picture, thanks,
I
Chris.
think the gentleman said he could have it in by April 12th.
April 12th will be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll leave it open for written comment until April 12th. It's got a lot, it's very tinny. At this time, we'll move on to the next public hearing, which was to begin at 2:15. It is now 3:15, and this is a public hearing to consider a local law to amend Chapter 255, parades, assemblies, and special events of the Town of Riverhead Code. And this is 255-21, amnesty/effective date. If anybody from the public would like to come up and comment on this?
Seeing no one.
No?
Yeah.
Okay. Seeing no one, I will,
Someone raised their hand. Okay.
Trying to get out.
except for that one guy.
Good afternoon, town board members. My name is Herb Strobel, S-T-R-O-B-E-L, Executive Director for Halleckville Museum Farm up on Sound Avenue. First of all, I want to thank the board for proposing, or having this amendment proposed that would allow extension for an amnesty period, as you refer to it. I do want to go back. I know the original legislation has been passed and will be in effect, or is in effect, I should say. I would say it does impose a hardship to a lot of smaller not-for-profit organizations in Riverhead, in so much that it, aside from the fees, which I understand the fees to a certain extent, it's the extension of the lead time that's required up to 270 days, in some cases 9 months prior to the actual event date. You know, we don't always have our events planned that far in advance. There's a lot of work that goes into planning these events, and so to that extent, I would say that that is a bit of a hardship in certain cases. So I hope in the future the board recognizes that. Going back, I certainly understand the motivation for the legislation. There's been a proliferation of special event permits over the last few years. I recognize certainly it imposes, to a certain degree, a level of burden on town government, whether it's traffic control officers, police officers, fire marshal, etc. So I certainly appreciate where the intent is coming from. I would say the implementation, the rollout of the legislation perhaps could have been done a little bit better. And so I would just say that in the future, as you look at Chapter 255 revisions, that perhaps a little bit of reach out to the stakeholders would be appreciated from our side. So thank you very much.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Did you get a letter from the town attorney's office and town clerk's office? Did you get a letter about?
So a letter was received from the town clerk's office. We filed our 255s before February 24th, which I appreciate the opportunity, but again, it was unexpected. I realized that the revisions went through public notice, legal notices and whatnot, but again, I would make the argument that it would have been nice, it would have been a better process from our perspective had there been a earlier reach out to the potential stakeholders in the process. But, you know, it is what it is at this point, and so hopefully moving forward, it'll be a better situation from our side at least.
So I think, you know, that is what we're doing. We definitely listened and heard what everybody said. It was, you know, we had the period, we've extended that period to June. And then after June, the late fees will also continue to be waived through the year so that we can be able to notify people and people can get more comfortable with the process before the beginning of next year.
And I appreciate that. I guess just to reiterate an earlier point, moving forward, however, in future years, you know, for some organizations, I understand they do 1 or 2 events per year, you know, at a specific dates, year after year after year. But for an organization like ours, we do have some events that come up within that 270-day time frame, and so that would be a hardship on us. We'll just have to deal with it as we move forward. So thank you again for your attention. I appreciate it.
That's interesting, and I think it is a work in progress, so, you know, there's gotta be, because you may not know 277 days in advance that somebody wants to come and have, you know, an event.
That's my
help.
point, and
So-
I would certainly be happy
look at it
to
again.
work with town board, with the attorney's office and whatnot, to see whether or not where we can come up with a more workable solution moving forward. So again, thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Larry, there's still a tremendous amount of feedback. Thank you. Anybody else who would like to comment? Anybody from the board? Hearing no one, I will close the public hearing, but leave it open for written.
Close it entirely.
Oh, close, sorry, all right, yep, I'll close the, all right.
Sorry.
I will close the hearing and not leave it over for written comment, sorry. Close. Sorry. We'll now move on to the next public hearing, which is a hearing to consider a local law to amend chapter 249 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Mobile Homes and Travel Trailer Parks. If it is okay with the board, I'd also like to take the next public hearing at the same time. And if anyone wants to come individually, they can, or together. So the next public hearing will be for the consideration of a local law to amend chapter 263 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Rental Dwelling Units. Bob, did you want to do an overview?
Yeah, I mean, as you just inferred, the 2 public hearings that have just been noticed and opened up tie into one another. One deals with an amendment to our mobile home and travel trailer parks ordinance, which probably needs a new name because it probably should be called that, as well as chapter 263, which is rental dwelling units. And the idea was to add legislation that would place a requirement on the parks to keep records with regard to rental permits issued pursuant to chapter 263. That's when we're talking about chapter 249. So we're adding to that particular chapter a requirement that there be records regarding rental permits that are issued and a requirement that they must do so. And then we, with regard to the rental dwelling units law, we added a number of definitions, including one for mobile home or travel trailer lot, one for mobile home or travel trailer park, and then asked.
Can you say that 3 times fast?
Yeah, and then added an additional requirement that in the case of a mobile home unit situated within a mobile home park, it's the responsibility of the applicant and the owner of such unit to provide a copy of the permit, which would be the permit for rent the dwelling unit, to be issued to the office owner and agent and manager of the mobile home park within 30 days of their receiving it, I guess, the same day issued. So now we're kind of linking the two. So they have to get the permit, and then they have to turn that over to the mobile home park, and then they have to retain the records.
And this was prompted by several emails that I received about rentals within the parks and the owner-occupied units not knowing who their neighbors are on a daily basis, and the park owners not being responsible to make sure that the owners are taking out the necessary rental permits that are required for inspection from the town and to make sure that the units are meeting health standards. So this is something that I had discussed with Eric Howard, our deputy town attorney. This is something that he had drafted up, thinking that it was good legislation and it would protect the owners within the park and then require the park owners to hold the tenants within the park accountable.
If there's anybody from the public that would like to come up and comment on the public hearing?
Good afternoon, Supervisor and members of council. First of all, in the area of, I'm sorry. Diana Ruvalo Calverton, and I'm here representing the Mobile Manufacturers Homeowners Association of Suffolk Incorporated. In every area in both chapters where it's stated, we feel that where it's stated mobile home, that it should say mobile home / manufactured home, since the units being manufactured and installed today are manufactured homes since the HUD code. The intent and purpose of the amendments are very good and are needed. However, we feel that more work has to be done. In some areas, they are too vague, such as the reference of office, where records and copies of the rental permits are to be kept. Of the 20 mobile home parks within the township of Riverhead, many of them do not have an office or a designated place or person to keep such records. We feel that it may possibly, if a portion of RPL 233-L could be incorporated into the amendments, where it would be applicable to those parks that don't have offices in them. And another thought we had was that, as an addition, the park owner should receive a copy of the rental permit from the unit owner before the tenant moves in. In the park I live in, Lakewood, many times the tenant is living in the park before the park owner or manager has a copy of such permit, and then that tenant hasn't been approved to live in the park. And this is one of the ways that we end up with the unsavory characters that are there.
Does a rental, if somebody rents their unit out, do they need to, the renter need to go through a screening with the park itself, or no?
Yes.
They do, okay.
Yes.
But they don't. They don't do it. They don't
Right.
do the screening for the renters.
And also, if these amendments are adopted, we feel that every park owner should be notified by the Riverhead Town Clerk by certified return receipt of the said changes, because many of the owners are out of town and out of state, and they have no idea what's going on with the town code. And then in closing, we feel that amendments to these two chapters should be tabled at this time in order for the Riverhead Town Mobile Manufacturers Homeowners Advisory Task Force to further discuss making the revisions, modifications, and/or additions.
Just so you know that this portion is the public hearing, so they're not getting voted on tonight. This afternoon is for when people come to comment on it. We could perhaps leave them open for you guys to have a review of it and bring your comments back again.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
And this is a work in progress, because as you know, we have a lot of work left to do as far as holding the landlords, the absentee landlords especially, accountable. And the fact that not every park does have an office, because the office for Lakewood and Riverhaven and Riverhead is at Riverwoods, so it's not on site, but they do have a local office. And I think it's an excellent idea to send out a certified letter. So I would like to move forward with this legislation and getting it adopted, and then work on future changes that include real property tax law 233L and other sections that you have cited, and also hear the comments back from the MMHOA. But at least we can get this started so that every landlord knows that they're accountable for the renters that are within their park.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Grace Swift, trustee of MMHOA of Suffolk, Inc. We wanted to say that we appreciate the initiative that Councilwoman Jody Giglio and our past councilman John Dunleavy did to start this new program to help address the mobile home manufactured park issues. Much has been accomplished, but there is more to be addressed. We feel that more accountability needs to be put on the owners of the park. Most are absentee landlords from out of town, and also on the individual owners of the units doing the renting. We also feel there is a need for some more tweaking on some of the issues. So at this time, we request that you would table the amendments to Chapter 249/263 so that the MMHOA Advisory Task Force could address our concerns. MMHOA wishes to thank you for your time and are looking forward to continued help with the problems that exist in many of our mobile parks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the question for these, would we like to leave them open? This way they can meet, the advisory group can meet and they'd be able to come back and comment on that?
Right.
Okay.
So the only thing that I'm concerned about is that there are rentals in the park right now that are illegally. And if we don't adopt this quickly and send it to the park owners, then they may not be coming in for rental permits for another couple of months. Because by the time we get the information back from the MMHOA, and by the time we draft the legislation, and by the time we go out, notice it in the paper, go out for public hearing, have another public hearing, wait for another 10-day comment period, you're talking 2 or 3 months down the road. Meanwhile, the rentals exist today. So I would like to see this adopted and then work on future changes to make it better and to include the things that they talked about, and then any other things that the MMHOA would like to see changed in this legislation, provided that the town attorney agrees that it is constitutional and that we are not going to get sued by anybody, the park owners or the unit owners or anybody else involved. So I would like to move forward with this legislation and get it adopted and then work on future changes so that the rentals, they're accountable for them as we adopt it, which should be the next town board meeting in 2 weeks rather than 2 or 3 months from now.
Can I just ask,
Well, I'm not so
when is
sure
the
I
next,
agree with
when is the next, when is the next meeting?
The end of April.
Our meeting? The last Saturday, because of Easter, it put our schedule off a week or two.
I mean, I personally, I think that these folks have been doing this for a very long time and been working hard, and they've been working with you on this, Jody. I think that, I think a couple weeks to get some feedback, because this is the public comment period. I think they've made some very valid comments. I think in particularly the one where this one that we have allows the person who rents it out to notify within 30 days or by 30 days, and they're requesting prior to the rental, when the rental permit is given, so that the person can then be screened prior to moving in there. I think that that's a good suggestion.
I'm
one that
seeing
should
some
be
unhappy
reviewed.
faces out there when, I think that they would like to see this adopted and then work on the changes going forward, so.
I don't know.
But
I
if
always
you
like to
wanna hold it
spackle
open,
before I
we're not
think.
gonna get anything adopted for a few months. I think this is good to have on the books today.
I just think, well, I mean, just looking at it, I realize there's a sense of urgency, but I also realize that from what I'm hearing, the cat's already out of the bag, that we're trying to rectify something that's been going wrong for quite a while. So I always like to spackle the walls before I throw paint on it. I think there has to be a process, and I think if you have some valid, which I heard, some valid constructive additions to this legislation that can be adopted in one solid piece of legislation, I think that's probably more prudent than to just throw something in now to capture something that's already there, and go about it the right way. I don't know, that's my way of thinking, that's all.
You know, I agree with Jim. I think, I understand that there are concerns, but I don't like operating in a panic mode. And I'd like to get feedback from you guys.
We're
I'd like
talking a
to-
month, you
I'd
know,
like to
instead of
wait
2
until after
weeks.
your meeting and, you know, sit down with you guys and hear what everyone has to say, and I think that's not that long of an amount of time.
Can I hear from each of you as to what you would like? You live in the parks, you can tell us what you would like. If you would like us to adopt this.
You just need to come up to the mic first.
If you would like us to adopt this, just so that we can send it to the park owners and tell them that every rental unit, they're responsible to keep a record as to who's in that rental unit now, and then make changes later, or
All right,
wait.
all right, we got it.
Hi, I'm Barbara Layden. I live in Calverton Meadows. And I think it should be adopted quick as, Jim, you said that this stuff is going on for a long time, and it is.
From what I'm hearing.
Well, it is.
All
In
right.
reality, it really is.
So 2 weeks
So
doesn't make a
today, well, but you know, if it's been going on so long, it's time to stop it, and it's time to change roads. So if we adopt it, and if I'm not mistaken, is it etched in stone? If we adopt it, we can still tweak things and keep moving
You
along.
go through a series of public hearings to keep changing and changing and changing, which is okay, but
Yeah.
I'm saying if there is, from what I'm hearing, the MMHOA of Suffolk County has some valid construction that they wanna add to this legislation today. They asked us to table because they wanna add something to it. What's wrong with waiting instead of doing it in 2 weeks, doing it at the next town board in 4 weeks?
And addressing all of the
And have that
concerns.
addressed.
Because it's not gonna be in 4 weeks. They're not meeting again until April 27th. That's 4 weeks from now. Then they're gonna meet, they're gonna get their comments back. Then we're gonna draft something. Then we're gonna present it at a work session. Then we're gonna ask the clerk to publish and post, which she needs 10 days in advance, 2 weeks in advance. Then we're gonna have a public hearing. Then we're gonna have a comment period again for the park owners and for all the tenants. So you're talking 2 or 3 months down the road before anything gets adopted.
And you know, I think maybe, if I'm not mistaken, the ideas that we're throwing out to change things are things that we're thinking about. We think about all the time.
But that's exactly what the public hearing is for, right? So you have a public hearing that you put up what you would like to put forward. And then you hear the public, and what we're hearing from you is that while you're happy with what is being proposed here, you feel that it could be stronger.
Right.
And that it should be stronger. You know, one of the things that I think may be confusing by doing it and then redoing it is every time you send a letter, because a lot of these landlords are not local landlords, as you say, they are not compliant sometimes with some of the things. So if you send them one letter saying one thing, and a month later you send another letter saying another thing, and then a month later it becomes less, it becomes confusing as to what is required. So the way, if we were to leave it open, Bob, when's the first meeting in May? Do you know? It's my first time I didn't bring my phone up here with
No,
my.
it's in our packet.
May 7th.
Okay, so we can leave it open for public comment, so we wouldn't close the public hearing. You would have your meeting in April on May 7th, you said. You would come back again, continue with your comments. Diane, if you wanted to change it at that time, you would have to renotice a public hearing but the public hearing could be renoticed prior to that meeting, so it would be the second meeting in May then, correct?
No, we have to authorize the clerk.
Your meeting on the
Right,
27th.
but that's
we're
what
meeting
I'm
on the
saying,
7th.
so you could come back on the 7th, give the,
Our board meeting,
Our board meeting, the first Thursday of the month.
it's the 11th, April 11th,
okay, so
the
you
board
can,
meets.
so I'll just, I can close this then for public comment, but leave it open for written comment. I can give it a couple more days than that April 12th. You can send in your written comments as to how you feel about this or what you would like to see, done with it. Then the board can either choose to go forward with what's already written at the next meeting, so that can then happen at the next meeting, or they can say, you know what, we're going to table that resolution, we're going to rewrite what we have, do a public notice on it, and then do the comment portion again, and then vote on it. So it's.
And the town attorney has to do research too, because I know there are some things that you would like to see in the code that he has indicated to me in the past that it can't go in the code because it was unconstitutional. So whatever you come back with, he's gonna need time to review also.
Okay.
Do you guys ever
All right,
call a
thank
meeting
you,
earlier?
thank you all, the board, and especially for taking, issue with the situations that we do have in the parks. They're an important part of the East End. It's where a lot of us can only afford to live and love to live there. But we see the downspin, so thank you for paying attention to us and, working with us, Jim.
He's working with you.
Just looking to take things a step further on another issue involving the manufactured home parks. I recently met with many owners that are staying in one particular park on Hubbard Avenue. And I was appalled at the amount of rent that the owners of these parks are charging the residents for a little sliver of property. So many people told me that, look, my wife and I are here, if one of us passes on, I don't know what the other's gonna do because we can't afford to stay here. We can only make it now because we have 2 social security incomes coming in. It's awful. I mean, I heard numbers of $700, $800, $900 a month.
And there's no, and that's on the state level.
Just for a little
state-
sliver
and no
of
amenities.
land.
That does seem high.
And no amenities for that. I mean, $900 a month, we're talking, pretty much near thousands and thousands of dollars a year. You could own a house on a half-acre of property and pay less in taxes or about the same. So,
But that's on a state level in order to get the rent control, which has been a battle for 25 years.
that's awful.
Leave it open.
Yeah, absolutely. That's more than, at $1,000 a month, that's what I pay on a house on an acre of land.
Just, if anybody
So
wants,
that's crazy.
you just need to come up to the microphone to address the board.
Well, then,
Sorry, yeah.
whenever you are.
No dancing in the audience there.
Hi, my name is Frank Koch. I live in Lakewood. And just in reference to what you were saying about the rent, also you have with the addition of, with the issue with Kingsley Management is where they nickel and dime me to death with sticking on the garbage fee separate of our rent. So you've got the rent, the garbage fee, and then of course you got your real estate taxes, property taxes rather, and just how they nickel and dime me to death on top of the rent. And some parks I know around the country where Kingsley's been known to start installing water meters and start charging you for water at an inflated rate. All of this stuff is where they get away with murder.
Yeah.
And it
they're
adds up.
able- And they're able to rent out the units to people that can pay more because they're overcrowded or there are drug dealers in there
Right.
or whatever else is going on.
I mean,
So
I've got
it's a problem.
I've got a unit across the street from me where the guy is allegedly renting it out to people, and they're drug dealers.
Yep.
Well, I'd hope that you'd call our police.
The police have been in there.
Well, yeah,
notify them.
from what I understand, they're watching it, but I'm just saying, this is just all that's going on with all these parks, and it's bad enough the rents are bad, but you gotta worry about who you're living with next to. Like you say, that's why you wanna have the rentals,
Yep.
have them disclose who's renting the places.
Yep. The police have been in there and they have surveilled the premises, so it's,
I mean, I've seen a vehicle, and I asked, I asked a certain person, who I'm talking about, Jody, who that person was. He says, yeah, they're watching them,
Yep,
There was somebody
they are.
watching them,
they're watching.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Yep, just come up and introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you so much, everyone. My name's Jeannie Townsend, and I live in Lakewood. And to piggyback on what this gentleman just said, I have documented dates and times and have come home several times, and you can smell weed. And I've seen my neighbors. They're not here. I have seen my, I don't want to get killed in my sleep. I have witnessed, and I have dates and times of people sitting in the car in front of the house that's diagonal to mine, laughing, smoking pot. And I know probably it will be legal eventually nationwide, but I think that they should have, if they're going to use illegal drugs, at least have some discretion about it. And I reported it to management of my park. And the response or the non-response was, a lot of people use pot recreationally in the park.
Well, if somebody is doing something illegal in the park, please call our police department and notify them and let them,
Okay.
know of the situation.
I was told by, no offense, sir, I apologize in advance. I was told by multiple random people that the police don't care if people are using because
If there's criminal activity going on, please notify the police. They do care,
Okay.
and they will come out and investigate.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Not legal
Thank-
yet.
yeah,
Thank you
okay.
for letting me speak.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, seeing nobody else, what I will do is I will close the public hearing, but I will leave it open for written comment until, I once again, don't have my calendar, but how about April, if they're meeting on the 12th? The 11th? I'd like to leave it open to the midweek the following week, so that they can have time to put
Why
in.
not
Meeting on
the next
Thursday?
Friday?
Yeah. See, what,
They're meeting on Thursday?
Yes.
So the following Friday, so that'll give you a full week.
19th.
so the,
19th.
so, how about the 18th, because town hall is closed on Good Friday, right?
Right.
So on the 18th, so if you could submit your written comments by April 18th.
There's no work session at the end. Just technically canceled.
Yeah.
And those comments should come to the town clerk, and then the town clerk will forward it to the town attorney for review.
All right, that's I got all the public hearings, correct? All right, so that's the end of our public hearing portion. We'll now move on to resolutions. If anybody would like to comment on any of the resolutions before the board, please come forward.
John McAuliffe from EPCAL Watch, and I live in Riverhead. This is in terms of Resolution 2019-243, which is the resolution about the transfer of funds for the sewer purposes of EPCAL. And it could be discussed now or could be discussed in the general comment section, but I thought maybe it's worth bringing up now to raise the question about whether this resolution should be tabled until the situation that has now arisen because of one of the principal partners in the purchase of the EPCAL land has again come under substantial legal problems, financial problems that raise questions, I think, about whether this process can go forward. It's noted in the local and in the review that Mr. Preston is subject to default and subject to eviction on property that's not part of the sale property. But nevertheless, he is one of the principals in the property that is being sold, and so it goes to the question of the qualifications and eligibility, the competence of the company that's buying it. The situation is I think very serious because it's not just that he owns 25% of it, even though they've neutralized him in terms of real power, but the whole deal is premised on a contract that was written to benefit him, in which as has been noted several times, that the original land of 600 acres was increased to 1,600 acres at no increase in cost. And so this whole project is premised on that deal that was given to him. You may recall during the Q&E that when we raised the question of the Germasians of 555 returning that 1,000 acres to the town, they insisted that those 1,000 acres had to be part of the deal, so they basically wanted to profit from this special arrangement that had been made with Daniel Preston. So my question is whether if you have not yet ascertained the legal implications of this new development, whether it would make sense, I mean, this is a transfer of money, you can obviously transfer it back, but maybe it would make sense just to suspend this decision until you've clarified the legal situation.
I think, you know, we've reached out to our attorney. We have not had an opinion back from them. We are aware of the articles that were in Riverhead Local and News Review. But that being said, this is to do the map and plan on the subdivision. We would like to continue, we'll see when we vote, but from personally, I would like to continue moving forward with the map and plan to be able to create the subdivision if in fact the sale does continue to move forward. Because this is one of the pieces of moving forward with the sale that does take more time than others. So to delay this would then potentially delay a closing if we were to move forward at the end.
But presumably you would get some definitive legal opinion before the next board meeting. So it only would be a question of delaying it. And I mean, my reading of, maybe it's, I don't understand, my reading of the resolution is that it's specifically to the land as is being discussed for Calverton Aviation
It's the breakout
and
that we have,
Technology.
it's the breakout of the subdivision that we've had.
So that if the CAT deal went south,
The
this
subdivision map may not go south. The
this would
subdivision map-
still be useful
Correct.
information for the town.
Correct.
Well, I think that would be
Yes.
as long as the work is useful for whoever else
This
might.
has to be done no matter who we sell it to.
Okay, I think that would resolve my concern, but obviously I have the larger issue, which I hope you will get definitive information from the various attorneys involved. And, you know, obviously I think it's time to reconsider the whole project at this point, given the fact that a crucial part of it, the part that was supposed to be bringing in the aerospace technology, has turned out once more to be fraudulent, so.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board on any of the resolutions? Seeing nobody, we will move on to resolutions. If it is okay for the board, when we get to the chapter 255's resolutions, 234 through 239, if we could take them together?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, resolution 230.
Adopts local law amending chapter 255 to provide for a 6-month amnesty period. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 231.
Amends resolution number 2018-923, approves 2019 special event application fee schedule. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 232.
Adopts a local law for an amendment to Chapter 289 entitled Vehicles, Traffic and Parking Regulations of the Riverhead Town Code, Chapter 289-2A, Stop and Yield Intersections, Railroad Crossings, Parking Fields, 289 Sub 2B, Yield Intersections, Two Bears Subdivision, north of Middle Road, Riverhead. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 233.
Resolution calling for public hearings regarding lateral water main extension for Riverview Lofts, Georgia Green Ventures LLC. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 234
Okay, so-
through 239.
234 through 239. 234 is for Sports Club of America Region Solo Driving Event. 235 is for the application for Riverhead Rotary for their Garden Festival, May 8th
Why don't I see chicken?
to May 20th. 236 is application for Halleckville for their North Horseradish Festival. 237 is an application for Long Island Fleece and Fiber Fair on May 18th. 238 is approves a chapter for Conic Medical Center for the East End Walk at Tanger on Sunday, the 19th. And 39 is from PC Richards for the Memorial Day barbecue tent sale. I'd like to move all of those one fell swoop. So moved.
Can I get a second?
I just wanna know why Chicken
Well,
Kids
can
is
we,
not in this
can we
group.
just do a second of this and then?
Because I wanna know why Chicken Kids is not in this group. Is it later on in the resolutions?
It is not in the resolutions, though.
Okay, well,
But-
Bob, why isn't it in the
But can we
resolutions?
approve these and then have that
We don't have an application.
Yeah.
We can't take the application till it's, filed with the Secretary
My
of
understanding
State.
was you were gonna get 3 initials on town board.
Exactly.
But that was gonna be for,
We can't take it. It's gotta be filed with the Secretary of State.
So you're gonna deny the Chicken Kids application?
No,
no.
no.
Well, it's in
gotta be filed
3
with the
days.
Well,
Secretary of State.
Diane is looking to get out of here and to go FedEx it up. She's already talked to the Secretary of State.
I've talked to Susan, I've talked to Secretary of State, I'm leaving here, I'm going to FedEx,
Okay.
I'm overnighting it.
Fine.
And we're
And
hoping
then-
that they have it by the.
And I will call them tomorrow to make sure they got it. I
Thank
have it
you. I
all
just
under
needed
control.
clarification on that.
Can I
Thank
have a
you.
second on my resolutions, please?
Yes, can I get a second on these resolutions before we have this
Second.
discussion? Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes, Jim, there's your second. There's your vote, too.
Good, well, we're in the middle of the vote.
Jesus.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolutions 234 through 239 are adopted. Resolution 240.
Ratifies execution of MOA between the Town of Riverhead and the Civil Service Employees Association Incorporated, Local 1000, AFS-CME, AFL-CIO, Riverhead Unit of the Suffolk Local. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 241.
Ratifies execution of stipulation of agreement with the Town of Riverhead and the Riverhead Town Superior Officers Association Incorporated. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 242.
Authorizes supervisor to execute a stipulation with Local 1000, AFS-CME, AFL-CIO, Riverhead Unit. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 243.
243 is Calverton Sewer Extension Number 2 for Community Development Agency. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 244.
Awards bid for annual procurement contract. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 245.
Awards bid for annual construction contract. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 246.
Awards bid for dry hydrated lime, calcium hydroxide. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 247.
Authorizes attendance at the 2019 New York State Parks and Recreation Annual Conference. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 248.
Accepts resignation of the chief building inspector. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
I want to thank Brad Hammond for his service to the town of Riverhead. We're sad to see him leave, but we wish him well.
Hubbard.
I'd like to vote
yes.
no.
I didn't finish voting. I vote yes.
I'd
Can we
like
do
to-
that?
I'd like to vote no, but obviously I'm not going to. Brad has done a tremendous job here for us at the town of Riverhead. He is a gentleman. He is an absolute pleasure to work with. The community, the public that deals with him on a regular basis, they love him, and it's gonna be a big loss for us. I really am sad to see him leave, but the best of luck to him. Yes.
Giglio.
I'm sad to see him leave too, and he helped really bring the building department into the 21st century by with the computer program software that we got and updating all the systems in the building department and teaching everybody how to use it and really being diligent with it to where everybody in the building department, not everybody likes change, but he's so easy to work with that he got everybody on board and it's very instrumental for the department. So we will miss him. I interviewed him when he came to work for us and he was the first one out of like 13 and I said, that's the guy. So we're sorry to see him go, but wish him luck, yes.
Wooten.
No. Okay. Yes, ditto to all of what's been said.
Jen Smith.
Yes, and Brad's been a great asset to the town. He will be missed, and good, well wishes to him in his new job. They are lucky to be getting him.
Agreed. Resolution adopted. Resolution 249.
Amends resolution number 219-201. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 250.
This promotes Police Officer Patrick McDermott to the position of Detectives Grade 3. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
And congrats to Officer McDermott. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, congratulations to Patrick. He does a extremely wonderful job for us over there.
Giglio.
Yes, a very important job too. Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes, and congratulations.
Resolution adopted. So we'll skip over 251 because we already did that, and we'll go to 252.
Appoints a temporary part-time Bay Constable. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 253.
Ratifies the appointment of a Bay Constable. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
I have to abstain.
Yes, for me.
Jen Smith, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution adopted.
And just the part-time Bay Constable and the appointment of a Bay Constable, the part-time Bay Constable, we hired while interviewing for the Bay Constable because we needed to get the buoys out and certain things out for the beginning of the season.
And I guess I should clarify, I abstained because Travis is my nephew, so.
And
So-
I'm gonna chime in, welcome aboard,
Doesn't make him a bad
Travis.
guy, though.
He was an excellent candidate.
Yeah, we interviewed him. He really was an excellent candidate.
He must not be, are you sure he's related to you?
My twin brothers.
Resolution 254.
Is that me?
No, it's me. It's assigned fund balance for IT upgrade. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 255.
Request that the County of Suffolk remediate parcel located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-124-4-11.3. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 256.
Requests that the County of Suffolk revise list of Town of Riverhead priority parcels for acquisition from the funding source Old Drinking Water Protection Program, 12.5. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes, this is very important for the open space to redo this. Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 257.
Tim, that's you for some reason.
Oh, yeah. Authorizes the supervisor to execute amendment to agreement with Riverhead MTAS Incorporated. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 258.
This approves an amendment to an agreement with Day Haven for use of facility at Stotsky Park. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 259.
Authorizes the town supervisor to execute DWI enforcement agreement between the County of Suffolk and the Town of Riverhead Stop DWI program. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 260.
Veterans Capital Park and Miamog Park projects closures. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 261.
Approves polling place agreements with County of Suffolk for 2019 and 2020. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 262.
Boy, this computer is, approves agreement between the town of Riverhead and the county of Suffolk for JAB funds. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 263.
Publication and posting of notice to amend CDBG 2018 budget, but we gotta amend it to correct the word budget.
Budget.
Bouger.
Oh,
Forget.
we'll fix that. It's a new word.
Yes,
Seconded.
as amended. Second. Okay.
Do you second?
Move, yes, it was,
Okay.
it was moved and seconded, vote please, right?
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yeah, and I just wanna, thank the CDA office and thank Councilman Hubbard for saying that we should be using the excess funding for the cameras for downtown as a police officer and working with the parking district and the business improvement district. I know that that's something that he's wanted to do for many years. So I think it's a great use of the funds and thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes, and I'd like to thank the chief and the police in the beginning of last year. They came and they gave us their goals and recommendations for doing that, and they have pursued that. And then when funding came available to be able to do it, so I think it was a joint effort by the whole town board and the police department and our community development agency. So I thank all of those involved. And yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 264.
Pays the bills. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 265.
Bob, you have those other resolutions too?
They're-
Oh, it's in here.
It's in there, the only thing is they are 2 in 1 year. I'm not sure what the board's desire is, because I know early today, there was a.
It doesn't matter, they wanna meet next week, so we can change it later. I thought I had sent you an email back saying to make it 4 and 2, but obviously somebody else wanted it 2 and 1, so 2 and 1 is fine. So I'll move this resolution because somebody did approach me, or Catherine, actually, you can move it. There you go. You're listed on here.
Appoints members to the Riverhead Business Advisory Committee. So moved.
Can I second it? Okay, I second it.
Moved and seconded, for discussion. I just would like to bring up a couple of things on this. The 2 in 1 year came because that is what's in our advisory committee's, length of terms of service is not more than 2 years. So that's the reason for that. Couple other questions I have on this is that in the first whereas, I thought we were going off of small businesses to make it businesses, not small businesses, when, in the discussion in the work session?
Yes,
Is that-
we can amend it to that effect.
So you want
Okay.
us to just strike small?
Yeah, so small should be struck for 2 of these.
Okay.
And then my other question that I have is,
The first whereas.
the first whereas small, and the second whereas small.
Those being deleted.
And then my other question is, we had a small business advisory committee with a different sort of whereas as to what it was. So this is a new, what their mission or where they're supposed to be accomplishment is different. So shouldn't this be the establishment of the Riverhead Business Advisory Committee? And not because you're not
Sure, we can
reviving the
amend it to that
small.
effect too.
We're not revising a
Business
small.
advisory, yep, I
And-
agree. And then we'll abolish the Small Business Advisory Committee at the next meeting.
Okay, and
Yep.
as such, I think that as we have done with other committees, I think that we should put out to the public, establish the committee, and then put out to the public for those parties that are interested to submit their resumes to be selected for the committee.
And
We've
I-
done that with the environmental committee, we've done that in the past with the agricultural committee, ag advisory committee, we have done that with, the downtown revitalization committee, and most of the committees that have been formed, we put it out to the community, to accept applications and then appoint the members.
Okay, so we discussed it at work session Thursday. We said that we were gonna move forward with this because they wanted to start meeting right away, and that we would leave positions open and put it out for an advertisement, which you were gonna go back to your office and do on Thursday, I thought. Was that done?
Well, I actually went back and looked at establishing the committees. The committees are supposed to be no more than 9. So in order to, I think the committee would have to be established to then increase the committee above 9.
Okay.
Because our town code says an advisory committee should be 9 people.
Okay, so so we can do that.
So
We
I-
can change it at the next one. We can establish it with 9 members, and then we can change it at the next meeting to make it a board of 13. And we can put out advertisement for resumes, and we can add those 4 additional positions. And they're only 1-year terms, and there's a lot going on right now in the business community, and these people have actually asked to be on this committee, and they're all very reputable people within the business community, and I think that they should definitely be a part of it. And we can add more people as resumes come in, and we can hold on to those resumes of the people that didn't get appointed and change them out next year, because they're 1-year terms.
I just want to
Unless
say
someone-
that I appreciate the work that's been done on this so far. I mean, I definitely like the idea. I think it's a great idea. I agree that the people that are on the resolution are all very good people. But putting all of that aside, I think that anytime there's a new committee in the name of open, fair government, that we should put it out there and have resumes come in. It takes a little bit longer, but in the end, I think it's better to do something in the right way than to rush it through. So you may very well end up taking all of those people, but I think it's good for the community if we put it out there and give new people an opportunity to get involved in town government. It's always good to have a mix of people who have experience and maybe some people that bring fresh new ideas as well.
I understand what you're saying, I generally agree with that, but in this instance, these people came forward wanting to form this committee. They're the ones who came to us as a government agency and said, hey, we need our voices heard, we don't feel they're being heard in the proper channel, we want them to be heard under this committee of a business advisory committee like it was years ago. So there's vacancies that will exist that we can advertise for, but these are the core group of people who came together, so I see no reason to exclude them.
I don't think that would be excluded. I think it's just a matter of opening up to the community to submit the resumes, because, just as like we had with the 255, I think if we didn't learn anything from the 255s, where we didn't communicate enough to the public what we were going on and what we were establishing and getting it out there to allow people to have their input on it, I think that was a lesson learned for us, and I think that doing this without putting this out to the community and establishing, pretty much the whole committee without putting it out to the public, I think is kind of backtracking from where we want to go.
Well, the only good thing I can tell you, and I think by changing the verbiage to establishing this, it certainly opens up the floodgates so you're not limited to the 9. The fact that there's 4 vacancies built into it also allows you to go ahead and advertise to somebody that wasn't captured in the original group. I'm looking at the names here, and I know almost everyone here, and they're very respectful people, so I don't think we're excluding anybody from wanting to join this committee, and there are 4 openings for it. And like I said, it's a 1-year term for half of them anyway, so I think we can do both. I think we can go ahead and establish the committee and expound upon it by advertising for additional people.
The other side of it is they wanna get started, and I don't
Well,
wanna
I'm sure they've
waylay
already
this
started.
any
I
further. We
see-
have
I see
4 openings we can advertise for, but they're afraid changes may happen in the town before they have a voice together as a committee to
Well, if
speak
they know
up.
government, they know that won't happen.
Well,
Yeah.
true, good point, but that's their feelings, and I have no reason not to let them get started as is,
All right,
and advertise for the 4 openings.
I never think it's a good idea to operate in panic mode. I mean, if you're gonna do something, do it right.
Well, I don't think it's panic.
And it's also
There's no
good when
panic
if
involved.
you put it out there and people send in letters of interest or resumes, and these people will send in their letter too. And it's also good when you sit down and talk to each person individually. It helps moving forward with the committee, hearing, where people's different strengths are, or maybe they bring some creative ideas there. It just seems a little backwards to me to put out the group and then change it and add people after. Why not do it all at once? It just makes sense, and I think it's a little better for open government.
And I think if we've had the downtown revitalization committee, how many resumes did we get for that?
35.
And how many did we get for the environmental committee?
74.
I don't know, it was, like 24, I think.
So,
I can't remember,
So I
actually.
think there's a lot of interest to participate in the committees that we're putting forward, and I think that, you know, to take that time to establish a committee and to give the community the ability to apply for the committee, and to serve on the committee, I think is good government. I will just put that out there. I think that there's a reason for doing that, and I think this is a great committee. I think that this is
It's a
needed.
limited committee,
and-
though.
and I
It's the
think-
small business owners, so.
Well,
I
no,
mean,
this isn't a small business owner committee.
Small business
This
advisory.
isn't a small business advisory committee
It's a
either.
business
This is
advisory.
a business advisory committee, which is the purpose and goal of the Riverhead business is to foster improvement communication between town government, and this is what they have so far, and the business communities, and to identify and address for the mutual benefit of the town and businesses, government factors that affect businesses within the town of Riverhead, included but not limited to regulations, procedures, and local laws.
Well, it's-
I think we have a
it's
lot of.
Still safe to say that most people in that committee would be somebody that has a vested interest in a business somewhere.
But I'll just say, you know, like, there's a lot of businesses in the town of Riverhead. You know, there's nobody with large, you know, maybe somebody from large retail wants to be, involved in
And they
this.
could
Or
be. There's
maybe
4
somebody
vacancies.
from car dealerships would like to have a voice in this, or somebody from manufacturing would like to have a voice in this.
There's 3, we got one more.
So, well, no, I don't know, I'm not going to prejudge who may want to be interested and the expertise that they could bring to this, so that the committee is a well-rounded committee, we're able to, help us function as a town board. So I think in order to do that, I think putting it out there, would be the appropriate thing to do.
I think it's amazing because,
Let's do
you
that.
know, we just reappointed somebody to the planning board, and I didn't see your office putting out an advertisement for that, but I saw your office put up the resolution to just reappoint that person without asking for resumes and other people that might be interested in that position.
And
You
we
just put
voted
up
on
the
it.
resolution, and we did vote on it, but where was your outreach to the public for that? That's a big position in the town, the planning board. You put the resolution in the packet, and it got voted on. There was no outreach.
Well,
So
you
I think
could've
it's
done that.
hypocritical.
You could have done it, Jody.
I didn't want to. I think he's a good person, just like I think these people are good people for this committee, so I'm ready to vote on it.
And these are good people.
Yes, I don't-
These are good people, but I will say with the downtown committee, last night the downtown committee elected, James Farley and Janice Shear as the co-chairs, and honestly, they were not on our radar. They weren't people that were involved before, and they turned out to be, you know, 2 of our most key members. We wouldn't have even known about them if we hadn't put a press release out, seeing who was interested.
Okay,
And
so-
they bring great expertise to the committee. So, I mean, it's just, and it's nothing about the people in here, these are good people. But, I mean, if they're great people, they're gonna end up on the committee anyway.
They're the people that formed this committee before it becoming official with the town.
Well, they didn't form the committee, they came in to have a discussion about it.
They've been meeting and having their discussions.
That's
They
good.
formed their committee themselves.
Understand why
No
everything-
this is a
mistake
town
about it. They
committee.
got together on the outside,
But this isn't a
formed,
coalition.
spoke, asked for assistance from us, and we assisted them. We assisted them in getting this committee on for a resolution. So why would we look to turn that away? It makes no sense to me, and
Well,
there are
you know
4
what,
openings we can
Tim,
advertise.
like you and I were talking,
Yeah,
we're
then
gonna
we'll
agree to disagree.
Absolutely.
I already stated how I
Yep.
feel, and, so we'll agree to disagree on this.
Okay, I have a first and second vote, please?
Yes.
But, hold on a second, this is
As amended,
as amended,
Establishing
establishing the Riverhead Business Advisory Committee and appointing members to the committee.
And taking out the word small and the first and second whereas.
So do I have to get first and second as amended?
I'll first as amended.
second, as amended.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Okay. As I stated, I'm very much in favor of this committee. I see the people listed on here are fine people from our community, but I still feel that new committees, such as this one, should be put out there for everyone, so I vote no. Hubbard.
For reasons previously stated, I vote yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Well, I can tell you this, it may be a new committee, but it's not. We used to have a small advisor. I realize this isn't that, but it's
In
certainly.
2007.
Well, actually, it went
It's a while
further than that, because I sat on it, and I wasn't here in 2007. So there's no harm, no foul. There's still openings. Anybody interested, please send your resume in, and I vote yes. This is a good start.
Jen Smith.
And I'm gonna vote no for the reasons stated. I think that this is a good committee. I think it is one that needs to be established. It is no disrespect to the people that are listed here as committee members, but I think that it should have been put out to the community, to call for members to fill the committee, before appointing before appointing a majority, more than a majority of the members.
A resolution adopted.
All right, and then we have, can I have a first and second to take a resolution off the floor, which is Reed's Beach Sanitary System Project 81902.
Motion.
Second.
That wasn't perfect
It was
unison.
Catherine. It was in song.
Okay, can I have a first and I have a first and second, can I have a vote to take a resolution, Reeves Beach Sanitary System Project 81902 off the floor?
Kent.
Yes,
Hubbard.
let's take it
Yes.
off the floor.
Giglio.
Long time coming, yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution, we'll give number 266. Is taken off the floor. I don't have a copy of that. Anybody have an
You
extra
should.
copy?
I have it in my office.
Maybe.
Run in there.
All right, so then can I have a first and second for Resolution Reeves Beach Sanitary System Project 81902?
So moved?
Second?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
I'm pleased that we're moving forward with this. This has gone on a long time. I remember seeing this discussed at work session before I even got into office, so I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Well needed, much needed, and it is definitely about time. Yes.
Giglio.
I'm glad we finally got the grant money and have some extra money in the account to be able to do the project, because that was always the holdup as to whether or not to do it, as well as the permits. So I'm glad that we have everything in place and we're ready to move forward with the project. Yes.
Okay, Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Okay, that is the end of our resolutions. If anybody from the public would like to come up and comment to anything on the board that is not, well, about anything on the agenda, not on the agenda?
John McAuliffe from EPCAL once again. I just wanted to.
Excuse me for 1 second.
Sure.
Did you need to go?
I'll just see.
Okay. Sorry.
Just to supplement the earlier point that I was making, in the Riverhead local story, I think it's worth noting this 3 paragraphs. Preston, meanwhile, told the website innovateli.com last fall that he relocated Luminati's VTOL, Vertical Takeoff and Landing Division, to upstate Little Falls. He blames delays by the town of Riverhead for his decision to relocate. I could not wait forever to decide where to locate the business and jobs. Now, maybe there is such a division, and maybe there are such jobs, but I must admit to a certain level of skepticism about that. And his blaming the town for it would, I think, be one more indication of the problem of this person and his role. That the next paragraph goes on to note that Luminati was supposed to be a major participant in the industrial park as one of the aviation businesses, and so you all read, I'm sure, the local, but I think that those paragraphs are worth thinking about and the implications of the consequences for this project going
Thank you.
forward.
All right, thank you very much.
It's not uncommon for the town to be at fault for everything that goes wrong.
We stopped the conversation short. I just wanted to, Diane needs to go, but she's gonna explain about the chicken kids, why it was not on for.
We did have a public hearing tonight to adopt that amendment to Chapter 255, and this is in regard to our special event permits, Chicken Kids. We cannot allow for the adoption to take place until the local law is filed with the Secretary of State. And I must get a file date from the Secretary of State in order for that local law to be adopted. So I am leaving to go to FedEx to overnight that to the Secretary of State. I have spoken to them. I've also talked to the Association of Towns to get their opinion on this. And I will file it with them, and then I will call tomorrow morning, and hopefully they will give me their file date. They said it is filed when they receive it. So I'm hoping that the overnight FedEx will get there in time, and that they will receive it and give me the file date. And if that happens, then I will accept the application from Chicken Kids, and then all can run smoothly.
Thank you for your service, Diane.
Okay, I don't know if that made sense to anybody, but.
Yes, it does, it makes
Okay.
a lot, and I appreciate your efforts on it,
Okay,
thank
all
you.
right. And we'll-
Don't go over the speed limit, the chief
No,
said.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Thank you, Diane.
And I will make sure we get that, so.
All right.
If we're done?
Yep.
Are we
Yep.
done?
Good, good, thank you.
I was sweating that one out.
I know you were.
The meeting was taking a long time.
They're open till 8, I think, tonight.
Oh, are they?
No, I think it's six. Yeah, but they're not open up there, so you gotta.
I wanted to make
sit
sure I
out.
had all the paperwork in place and that we were finished with the meeting. Are we finished?
Yep, but first it says to adjourn the meeting,
Motion first.
all in favor?
Second.
Thank you.
All
right.